Hello, and welcome to a very special bonus episode of the What the Tech podcast from Boast, where we talk with some of the brilliant minds behind new and exciting tech initiatives to learn what it takes to tackle technological uncertainty and eventually change the world. I'm Paul Davenport, Boast's resident tech journalist, and today I'm very excited to welcome a few members of the Boast team onto the show for a discussion focused specifically on driving and funding innovation in Quebec. So, if you're a Quebecois business leader or techie, you may have heard that the province's banner e-business tax credit, known colloquially as CDAE, is being revamped starting next year as the province expands the vision and support for fostering innovative businesses within Quebec. One of the biggest enhancements of the program is a greater focus on, you guessed it, AI, and rewarding businesses who are using the latest and greatest tools and techniques to push the boundaries on what's possible when it comes to R&D. So, joining me to unpack it all are Joshua Martin, my go-to source for all things related to Quebecois innovation funding, and Blake Nelson, who leads Boast's product development team and is one of the brains behind our new solution dedicated to claiming R&D tax credits in Quebec as CDAE transforms into CDAE-IA in 2026. So, this is quite the brain trust we have on hand today. So I'm excited to drive right in and pick their brains on what this new program means for innovators in Quebec. Now, Boast is meeting the moment with our new dedicated CDAE-IA solutions. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Joshua and Blake.
Hey, Paul.
Awesome.
Thanks. Great to be here.
I'm so happy to have you guys. So again, usually we feature people outside who I don't know personally, but we've been working together for a while now, and I know that the three of us specifically are very excited about what we're going to be talking about today. Joshua has his focus, and he is based up in Montreal. I support on the content side and have had some of my best experiences working at Boast with the team up in Montreal, so very happy to kind of pour some gas on the great work that they're doing up there. And Blake is killing it on the product front and has helped develop a very exciting solution, like I said. But Joshua, let's get down to kind of like the fundamentals and the real impetus for the conversation here. CDAE is transforming. I'm going to give us a little bit more context. It's probably the biggest change to the innovation funding landscape in over a decade. So can you walk us through what's actually changing here? And more importantly, why CFOs and CTOs at innovative Quebec businesses should be paying attention to this right now?
So yeah, first, absolutely. I do want to add a caveat. I do reject any accusation that I am part of the brain trust that you described. I want to kind of, temper any expectations for what I'll be able to, for some of the wisdom I'll be able to share, hopeful wisdom I'll be able to share today. But you are correct in defining kind of this change and this shift as monumental for the Quebec tech scene. The government's intention is in my this is a personal opinion here, a really healthy one. They want to change the CDAE program, which is colloquially, known as the e-business tax credit, which supports kind of classic software IT consulting firms, and was kind of, conceived in the early 2000s. They want to shift this towards a tax credit that supports AI. So, what they're doing is adding an element in this existing program that to remain eligible, these software companies must implement the use of AI in a significant way. We'll dive a bit more into what that means, I think, later on in the conversation. But this is, immense. It's becoming more generous in some ways. So, some of the caps are being removed, so you could potentially touch more in the tax credit. But I think globally, even if there could be some quarrels with how the change is being implemented, globally it's a good decision. We're seeing money being shifted towards, it's the buzzword of the day, AI. But I think it's going to allow Quebec to remain competitive in this space. And to kind of continue to build the edge that we already have here, thanks to Mila, thanks to the strong universities we have, and thanks to a lot of the startups that are doing excellent work. But yeah, it definitely is a pretty significant change, as you mentioned.
I love that. I really want to pull on a point and emphasize a point that you made there. It's about retaining the great competitive edge that Quebec has today, because there is so much incredible innovation happening there. It's something that, again, just needs a little bit of a boost. I know in a lot of the materials that you're going to see out there, you're going to see close to $300 million investment. The actual value of the program is much larger than that. That's what's being added on top of the already generous program that the Quebec government has outlined to help fund and give businesses that are doing the great work the funding they're entitled to. It's kind of the same story we tell with Shred. You're doing the work and the government wants to be in business with you if you're doing something that's going to be valuable and homegrown. So they want to reward you if you're doing it right. We want to make sure that you're telling that story and not leaving that funding on the table. But that's for a little later in the conversation. Joshua, going next, I want to know, so you work directly with Quebec's innovation leaders every day. What are you hearing from CFOs and CTOs about the CDAE-IA transition? And perhaps more interestingly, what should they be asking that they're not asking yet about these changes?
Yeah, great question. I think there is definitely an understanding that it's a necessary evolution of the program. I will say, I think there is some fear. I think there is some skepticism about how these changes are going to be applied, particularly with companies that are already claiming, millions of CDAE. It's kind of part of their, balance sheet. They're kind of used to having this amount being received at the end of the year, and then the changing criteria, 1 year to the next, and there's a bit of gray zone exactly into how Revenu Quebec will actually apply these changes. So I would say there's optimism, but there's also a mix of skepticism and fear in navigating this uncertainty, and how exactly companies should prepare. There's a little bit of a lack of guidance by Revenu Quebec, I think. That's kind of the general sentiment that I'm feeling. Um, and so different, CFOs, business leaders are kind of wondering, okay, how do we prepare for the transition in 2026? How do we make sure our projects are properly identified and highlighting the use of AI in our internal projects? The kind of magic phrase that's going over and over again is what exactly is a significant use entail for these AI projects, and there's a bit of uncertainty there. But overall, I think everyone understands that this is a positive step for the tech scene in Quebec, as it really is a modernizing effort done by the government.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that last point there too. It's a modernizing effort. It's an enhancement to the other program. So it's not necessarily that they're throwing old school CDAE out the window in favor of this net new program, but it is getting up to speed with the realities of how people do R&D today. And again, rewarding those businesses that are doing the right thing already and already have deployed AI, for instance, to just streamline and enhance their operations. So it's not necessarily that you're losing something. It's that if you're doing things correctly today or doing things that are really going to drive the best outcomes for you, there's now going to be more reward there. And again, more entitlement. And then another point, which is going to lead me to Blake, is what you're talking about a bit about some of the fuzziness today. Like that phrase, you see it anywhere. If you Google CDIE-IA, that implementation, it could mean anything. I think there are definitely some guardrails that we know would not pass the threshold for significant AI integration off the shelf, just ChatGPT. Like, I don't want to give some examples now. We'll have resources that I'll share in the show notes about like what not to do and what definitely doesn't qualify. But I think that's where you need to find a partner like Boast who not just exemplifies it with the products and the platforms that we use, but our expertise navigating this. This is not our first rodeo by any means. Again, American on our team, so I'm sure there's a Quebecois phrase that we could apply here for not your first rodeo. But honestly, you need somebody who's navigated programs like these and also the government bodies at the provincial level. So, on top of our expertise, I'm going to turn over to Blake. We also have the platform that makes it seamless, makes it easy, can help some of those CTOs and CFOs who maybe have their questions or maybe are a little concerned about what they might be losing, giving them a little more assurance and also helping them breathe easy about navigating a new program that isn't going to necessarily be filled with roadblocks if you have a partner who can streamline the process with you. So, Blake, that leads me to you're building the first platform built specifically dedicated to CDAE-IA. That's another big point I want to emphasize. No one else is doing this. Not usually this outwardly promotional about Boast on the podcast here, but it is exciting. We see the moment, we see the opportunity, we see the innovation happening in this community. We're hopping on top of it to support the founders who have helped make Boast a success today. So, Blake, how do you design a solution when the requirements are still evolving like they have been? And what makes Boast's approach different from what's already out there?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think the first thing is, we have to start with the end in sight, and we understand the concept and the goals of what they're trying to accomplish. So, whereas some of the in between steps, the exacts, are still trying to be defined, we can use our tool and continue to tune it as we get more and more details about the specifics as they come out. Right. So we can start a little more broad, and then if they narrow it down a little bit, great. We'll tune it a little bit. And the great news is if you're a partner with Boast early, we can start that process early and not have to wait until the end to figure out, oh, now I need to look back at my whole year and figure out how to apply each one of these different individual pieces.
I think that's a really important point too. It's that if you're talking about timelines, there's really no time to wait right now. And if you've been doing CDAE in the past, again, you might already be in the rhythm of doing processes that will work for you, but work with people who are literally watching the evolution as it's happening and keeping pace. And we're the only people doing that. So I want to know, how do you balance automation with expert judgment in platform design like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the key value props that we have to tote, right? We're not building a platform to do everything automatically. We're saying, let's build a platform to automate the mundane, to take care of the tedious pieces, to save time where it can be saved. But we know that that human judgment is going to be critical, as it is with all of the other programs that we support. It's going to continue to evolve. We're going to need people to try to continue to decipher, to communicate, and to educate people about what's there and how they can apply the product. So I think we get our advice and our information and our support from our amazing people. And then we figure out where we can layer on really strong technology to simplify their process, the customer's process, and save everybody more time and maximize the returns.
I love that. I think you also beautifully teed me up for my next question around some of our value propositions, because we keep hearing less of your time required when we're talking about the Boast solution, and your team spends less time while getting better results. Walk us through how the platform actually delivers on that promise. So, what does your experience look like for a CTO or CFO using both for CDAE versus traditional methods?
Yeah, this is one of the things that I've been focused on most when I'm developing the product is just that time savings, because any company could try to do a tax application on their own, right? So it's not that it's an impossible task without something to support it. It's, do you want that much brain damage and that much time out of, most cases, your year end, right? Let's try to help you wrap up things and have a partner that you know is going to do the things you need to. So the ways that we use the product to do that are, one, we give you a dedicated space to make sure that you know what you need, how much of it you need, and how to get it into the platform. There's no ambiguity. We have a very clear list of criteria, and that's specific to the way each company is set up. Have you claimed it before? Have you not claimed it before? Each one of those answers tunes the tool to make sure that you know exactly what you need and what you don't need to spend your time gathering. Then, once we get that information, it's using the AI that we've had be a pillar of Boast for a long time, improving that and allowing that to do the heavy lifting of, great, how do we extract the information needed from all of that documentation and put it in an easily understandable format, then apply the relatively simple calculations to get to a potential return. So I think it's about aggregating and giving a one-stop shop, a one place that you can rely on. And you also know that the expert on your side is looking at the same things you are. So it's going to streamline the communication and eliminate, 37 emails back and forth. You can both see what's there, what's not, what's needed, and get it accomplished quick and easy.
God, what I would do for 37 fewer emails in my inbox, Blake, daily. This is incredible. Now, you alluded to a lot of my follow-ups here, but I might spritz you with a couple more just to
Mhm.
really drive home the main point, though. So you mentioned it earlier. We're tracking the news. We know that a lot has yet to be defined, but what happens when requirements change after launch in 2026? We know the program needs to evolve. We actually kind of welcome it. We want it to stay up to date. We want to make sure that it's rewarding the people doing the latest and greatest. But how does the platform respond to that?
Yeah. The main piece is, just like shoveling, you need a strong core. So we spent a lot of this time to use it as an opportunity to strengthen the core foundational pieces of what Boast does and the software does. So when the core is strong, then you can just apply slight tuners onto it. So it allows us to adjust more quickly. So we can watch what's happening. We can say, great, there's just this slight tweak. Let's modify slightly instead of starting from scratch because our core can't handle that many changes. So we've set ourselves up, and this tool specifically for easy adaptation, quick changes, quick turnaround, quicker development and engineering. We've implemented new processes in the way that we put the product together that are speeding up our response time and our feedback loop as well.
I love that. Okay, now another point, and I welcome you both to respond to this one too, but I was thinking more Blake for it. But where does human expertise matter most in the process? I think because this speaks to everything that Boast does. And it alludes very nicely with your analogy, Blake, around you need a good core to shovel snow. It's very cold here, and I love that because that was what we were talking about before the show. But where does human expertise actually matter most in the process?
Yeah, I'll take it first, and then Josh can add on if he wants to. I think the communication around it is so critical. And, the people that we're serving, they spend all day making tough decisions, managing large groups of people, trying to navigate how they're going to improve their product, how are they going to make changes, how are they going to keep up. Them knowing that they have somebody that has their back and is just going to get this executed and get it done at the end of the year takes all of that stress and additional. They don't need one more thing, right? They're doing great work in their own companies to change, as you said, like change the world, get things to an amazing spot, improve all these different areas. So if we can take care of the communication and simplify this process for them, it allows them the time to do all the wonderful things that they're doing. And that requires a human interaction and a human touch to help them navigate it and streamline and smooth out those things so they can do all the stuff that they're passionate about.
Totally agree with Blake. I do want to comment slightly or a little bit that it's excellent that this is a very Canadian company. You can tell if most of the metaphors being used are in relation to shoveling and and winter, so it's very much on point. But to kind of build off of what Blake was saying around where how does our team collaborate with this incredible technology that we're building out? For me, it's all about Blake mentioned that the technology allows us to take care of the mundane. So then our team and your team can focus on, maximizing things, on the strategic element, on the positioning. Um, you know, the platform will help with, defensibility, gathering documentation. It allows you and our team in Tangent to really think strategically. Perhaps how do we loop in shred and other tax credits to kind of mitigate the changing program? What is the best stacking solution for your unique business, depending on the work being done, depending on your type of documentation, depending on your kind of cash flow. Would you like the money sooner or later? There's different variables that we can kind of that we always evaluate with our clients, and that's really a human that's going to do that work. But it's excellent, and it's really, I mean, honestly, I'm, as someone who's based in Montreal, it's pretty incredible to see Boast making such a large investment in building out tech specifically designed, for tax programs here. So it's really exciting to see that our clients are already starting to have access to this, and many more companies across Quebec will continue to have access to such incredible technology.
I love how you both frame that. I think it's where efficiency and expertise meet, basically. The platform can help our experts act as efficiently as possible. And even to just put a bow on it, too, like, it's not necessarily objective. There are things that objectively will not qualify for CDAE. Same with Shred, same for US R&D tax credits. But you need to tell that narrative. A human needs to actually make it peanut butter and jelly, easy to digest and easy to accept from the different government bodies. And that's what we really bring to the table. So we use all the tools that the Quebec government wants innovative businesses that would be applying for CDAE to use to actually drive our own products and R&D in the most effective manner. And it helps our experts reflect that in their work, which I love. So I'm going to throw in one more question for you guys to set the final mark. It's December 2025 when we're recording this. The CDAE product launches this month, but then the program actually launches in January 2026. So let's fast forward to next year. What does success look like for companies who partnered with Boast to get their CDAE-IA house in order?
Yeah, I think day one, it really has to, we have to do an evaluation of current projects, current documentation standards, and how are we able to highlight the use of AI throughout your org? Often, it's just about reframing how your teams and how your documentation is put in place to make sure that you maintain your L going into 2026. So a lot of it has to do with proactivity, making sure that you're able to kind of document, improve that the work you're doing is still eligible for the program. And a sentence I really like to say: just because there's uncertainty does not give you the entitlement to do nothing. Right? Doesn't mean just stay on the bench and wait. There are mitigation efforts you can put in place today to start reducing risk for losing eligibility for CDAE-IA, as if it wasn't a mouthful enough already. So that's what we're helping our clients with already, and we plan on continuing to do so into January and throughout Q1.
Yeah, the way that I just to add on a small piece, the way I think about it, it's funny because I'm the product person, but the people are really the piece that keep coming into my mind. And the people that don't start, the companies that don't start thinking about it and preparing for it early are the ones that are going to be pulling out their hair at the end of the year, trying to figure out, well, what is that rule? What is that regulation? Now, does it actually fit my company? Does it actually match? Whereas if you've got a partner and you've got somebody who's keeping track of it, not only can we help you track it early, there might be opportunity for you to, let me make that shift that I was maybe not certain if I was going to make right now, and then capture some more. So I think there's going to be a very stark contrast between the companies that, yep, we got this and we got a partner that's going to get it done. And like, whew, it's November. I probably should start thinking about this.
Absolutely, yeah, and no one wants a year-end scramble. If you're thinking about it ahead of the holidays, you're not gonna be putting in the effort that it likely deserves, whereas, like you said, Blake, like you said, Joshua, it's just gonna be a simple process once we get the ball rolling and have you set up for success on our end. So I love to hear it, guys. I cannot thank you enough for joining me on the podcast today. This was a great kind of change of pace for me as podcast hope, and I hope you guys had a good time. I'll be sharing all the details about the CDAE program that we discussed here today in the blog and show notes, as well as additional resources that our team is working on, because we've noticed it ourselves. There's not really a glut of resources to know about even old school CDAE. So thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Paul.
Nice to be
Blake.
here.
Bye.